Did you hear about a Nazi-occupied region that was liberated 4 days after the end of the war? A large occupied zone that was more defended than Germany itself. The region for which the British Army operated the most daring and dangerous raid in the entire history of the Royal Armed Forces. A place that was on the top priorities of Churchill and Hitler. This is the story of the Nazi Forgotten Fortress Zone, the story of ST-Nazaire.
Die Jugend ist uns verschrieben und verfallen mit Leib und mit Seele.
1941. Nazi Germany dominates most of Western Europe. Norway, Denmark, Netherlands, Luxembourg, Belgium, France, but not yet Great Britain. In order to subjugate the British Islands, the Germans need to put their hand over the waters. Technically, it is impossible, for a very simple reason. The British have the most powerful navy in the world. To deal with such an obstacle, die Kriegsmarine, the German navy, instead of dominating the sea surface, they decided to go beneath it. They have the instrument that may change the rules of the entire game. The U-boat. Those silent hunters, named the Wolves of the Atlantic, succeeded in sinking 4 million tons of British shipping in 1941 alone. In his diaries, Winston Churchill admitted, "The only thing that really frightened me during the war was the U-boat peril. But there is yet another nightmare for the British. A floating fortress of 52,000 tons of steel, named the Tirpitz. After the sinking of her sister ship, the Bismarck, the Tirpitz was modernized, galvanized to be the cream of the German technology. Hitler called it the pride of the German Navy, while Churchill named it the Beast. At 55 kilometers an hour and 250 meters long, it was faster and larger than any British battleship. With its firepower superiority, it could sink you before you even saw it. It was the worst maritime threat to the British supremacy over the seas. And here comes the importance of our site. ST-Nazaire has everything the Third Reich needs for these killing machines. Besides the well-equipped harbours and the strategic location, the French town enjoys a unique infrastructure that gained the attention of both the Germans and the British. The Normandy dock. But why such a dock? Is that important? On the 24th of May 1941, The Battle of Denmark Strait was fought between the German ships Bismarck and Prince Eugen and the British ships Prince of Wales and the mighty HMS Hood. Hood, the finest battleship of the British Navy, was sunk, and the Prince of Wales was damaged and forced to retire. Bismarck, victorious in this battle, also damaged. Unable to proceed her mission, she headed for the French port of ST-Nazaire, which was the only port on the Atlantic coast with a dry dock able to accommodate a ship of her size. The Normandy dock. A 350 meters long, 50 meters wide and 16 meters deep, the dock is a vital facility for the Germans. But unfortunately for the Bismarck, she was intercepted by the British and sunk before reaching Saint-Nazaire. When the Tirpitz was declared operational in January 1942, planners from Combined Operations Headquarters in London were looking at potential scenarios if Tirpitz escaped the naval blockade and reached the Atlantic, just like the Bismarck. They came to the conclusion that if the dock at Saint-Nazaire were unavailable, the Germans were unlikely to risk sending Tirpitz into the Atlantic to avoid the fate of her sister ship, the Bismarck. Few meters away from the dock, to provide a maximum protection to their U-boat, the Kriegsmarine built one of its wonder megastructures, a large fortified U-boat pen. It is one of the 5 large submarine bases built by the Third Reich in occupied France. Before the Second World War, Saint-Nazaire was one of the largest harbours of the Atlantic coast of France. During the Battle of France, the German army arrived in Saint-Nazaire in June 1940. The harbour was immediately used for submarine operations. By December of the same year, a mission of the Organisation Todt inspected the harbour to study the possibilities to build a submarine base invulnerable to air bombing from England. Building began in February 1941 with 3 pens, completed in June of the same year. From July 1941 to January 1942, other 6 pens were built, and between February to June 1942, the work was eventually completed by the building of 5 more pens and a tower. The base is 300 meters long, 130 meters wide and 18 meters high, amounting to a 39,000 square meters surface on the ground and a volume of concrete of 480,000 cubic meter. The roof is 8 meters deep, featuring 4 layers. The first one is a 3.5 meter sheet of reinforced concrete. The second is a 35 centimeters granite and concrete layers. The third is 1.7 meter layer of reinforced concrete. And the fourth is a fangrust layer of steel beams, 1.4 meter deep. The roof is dotted with anti-aircraft weaponry, machine guns and mortars. The base offers 14 submarine pens, 92 meters long and 11 meters wide, each holding 2 submarines. The base was equipped with 62 workshops, 97 magazines, 150 offices, 92 dormitories for submarine crews, 20 pumps, 4 kitchens, 2 bakeries, 2 electric plants, 1 restaurant, and a hospital. Actually, it was a town within a town. Both the Germans and the English realizing the importance of the site for the outcome of the war. Hitler wanted to protect it by all the means, while Churchill ordered its immediate destruction to eliminate the threat posed by the U-boats and the Tirpitz. The region is protected by the infamous Atlantic Wall, a line of dense defences stretching from Norway down to the Spanish border. Almost 1 million French workers were drafted to build thousands of different sorts of bunkers and fortifications. Aiming to prevent any British landing. Though all these defences did not prevent Churchill to use any resource on his disposal to put ST-Nazaire facilities out of service. From the aerial bombardment, which had no significant effect, either due to the strong fortifications settled by the Nazis or the lack of precision, so most of the bombs fall on civilian houses. As a consequence, the town of ST-Nazaire was razed to the ground by the end of the war. To the naval assault, which was also fruitless, because of the defensive coastal artillery cannons of the Atlantic Wall, and the thousands of the sea mines scattered along the coast. These failures prompted the British to act quickly, and above all to change their tactics before it's too late for the British Empire. Finally, the British decided that a commando raid was the best option for success. The raid plan of the code-named Operation Chariot is simple. The commandos were to destroy 3 objectives: the Normandy dock, the old gates into the Bassin de Saint-Nazaire along with the water pumping machinery and other installations, and any U-boats or other shipping in the area. A World War I destroyer, the Campbelltown, selected for this mission, modified to give the outward appearance of a German destroyer, packed with 4 tons of high explosives in the bow, with troops and crew on board, accompanied by 18 smaller crafts. On the 27th of March 1942, they crossed the English Channel to the Atlantic coast of France. The Campbelltown rams this gate at speed and become firmly stuck there. The commandos on board would then disembark and take cover behind a nearby air raid shelter. The ship would then blow up, destroying the gate. Another force of commandos landed to destroy machinery and other structures based in the building just next to it. They would blow up as many targets as they could and then withdraw on the smaller boats from where they came. But unfortunately, the Royal Air Force couldn't provide any cover from the air due to the bad weather that day. To make things worse, German gunfire sank, set ablaze, or immobilized virtually all the small craft intended to transport the commandos back to England. The commandos fought their way through the town to escape overland, but many surrendered when they ran out of ammunition or were surrounded by the Wehrmacht defending Saint-Nazaire. Of the 611 men who undertook the raid, 228 returned to Britain. 169 were killed and 215 became prisoners of war. German casualties included over 360 dead, some of whom were killed after the raid when Campbelltown exploded. And many unfortunate French workers died too. The Chariot-Operation was a huge success for the British, but a pure humiliation to the Nazis. Within British military circles, the operation has been called the greatest raid of all. To recognize their bravery, 89 members of the raiding party were awarded decorations, including 5 Victoria Crosses. On the German side, furious after the raid, between late 1943 and early 1944, a fortified lock was built to protect submarines during their transfer from the Loire River and the Pends. The lock is 155 meters long, 25 meters wide, and 14 meters high, equipped with anti-aircraft armament on the roof. The Germans kept reinforcing all their defenses in Saint-Nazaire. But by the end of 1943, the noose was tightening for the Germans. The Eastern Front with the Soviet Union was collapsing. To the south, Italy has fallen to the hands of the Anglo-American forces. On January 1944, Adolf Hitler declared 14 places along the Atlantic Wall to be fortresses, among them Saint-Nazaire, to be held until the last man or the last round. The so-called Atlantic Festungen, the Atlantic fortresses. Most of the fortress zones were captured by the Allies between the initial invasion of Normandy on June and late October 1944. The first assault on Saint-Nazaire zone took place from the north on the 27th of August, where I tried to go after the traces of the first clash between the American army and the Nazis. The German resisting force managed to push the Allies back by concentrating forces, blocking main routes, and blowing bridges, like what happened to this bridge in the village of Roche-Bernard. So the entire zone of Saint-Nazaire was put under siege, creating what would be known as the Saint-Nazaire Pocket. That enabled the submarine base to keep operating till the last day of the war. But things are happening too fast, leaving no option to the Nazis. The 2nd of May, 1945. The Red Army enters the Reich's capital, Berlin. The 8th of May, Marshal Keitel signs the unconditional surrender of Germany. The war is over. But not back here in ST-Nazaire, where more than 30,000 German troops under the command of General Hans Juncker still besieged alongside some 120,000 French civilians. So, what's the purpose from keeping a part of France under the German control if Germany itself is lost? On the 11th of May, 4 days after the capitulation of Germany, General Hans Juncker surrenders ST-Nazaire pocket to the Allies to mark the end of the last Hitler's fortress zone. Today, ST-Nazaire is not less significant than yesterday. It is here where the world's largest liners and planes are built. ST-Nazaire remains a significant symbol. If you like our story, please don't hesitate to subscribe, so we can make new stories with new forgotten spots. Ciao.